What's up, everybody, and welcome to the show. This podcast episode is brought to you by IBOW Training. As you know, we talk about training pretty frequently here on the show, and the IBOW has some amazing people that they work with in their network. Are you a designer, rapper, sign maker, or beyond? If you want to invest in your creativity for the future, IBOW Training is the right choice. IBOW is the nation's first training organization to offer training in all aspects of the rap industry, from quoting, design, printing, production, and installation. They offer a variety of training options such as training at your shop, group training classes nationwide, and even private design and print profile training through remote login. With trainers nationwide, IBOW offers support day and night by phone, and many of their trainers are within a day's reach for emergencies. IBOW is growing and will continue to support the industry in a positive manner. For more information, please visit ibowtraining.com. We are also brought to you by We Print Wraps. We Print Wraps is the industry's #1 source for wholesale printed wraps. How easy is it to order wraps? Well, all you have to do is sell the job. Go to weprinkwraps.com, choose your desired film for the installation, upload your design, and if you're not a designer, no problem. They can design one for you and get your wraps delivered right to your door. They offer free nationwide shipping all across the U.S. and Canada on all orders over $500. And for exclusive listeners of the All Wrapped Up podcast, you can get 5% promo code when you type in the word All Wrapped Up at checkout to save on your next order today. Less risk, no overhead, wholesale printing. See why the industry pros love them. To get more information, visit weprinkwraps.com.
All right, everybody. Our next guest doesn't need any introduction. Give it up for the creator of the #1 rap industry podcast, Mr. Jeff Gregorio.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to All Wrapped Up podcast. We'll be interviewing industry-leading rap companies to share tips, tricks, stories, and more.
So what's up, Rosie? What's going on?
What's up, kid? What's up? Fucking how the wheels have turned today.
It's It's been a couple hours since I've talked to you.
At least, but we talk at least once a week, give or take.
It's off, more than that.
You think so?
Yeah, it's at least 3 times a week.
Shit.
Yeah.
The fucking mentor here.
I know. You've come a long way since my episode.
Oh man, same with you, bro. Same with you, man. It's like you've gone leaps and bounds, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you too. I mean, going to RapsCon and doing all that, and next step for you is SEMA.
Oh.
Get you over there out with all the boys.
Maybe one day.
That's the plan.
Yeah,
That's the plan. But what's going on, Brosie? What have you been up to?
Fuck, man. I've been, today's a huge monumental day for me. I finally started my full-time gig at a company called Rap Solutions here in Boston. Finally getting back on the saddle. Thank God, man. It's been real good. I got hired as the business developer / salesperson. So it's been basically, getting new leads in, contacting a lot of my old clients, getting them in, letting them know I'm back in the industry, and, giving them the same great service I was giving them back in the day. And, hopefully they can put some trust in me to help them out for the future. You know what I mean? But
yeah. And you started out part-time.
I started out part-time, long time.
A couple days a week?
Yeah, a couple days a week. I was doing 2 to 3 days on, and then doing construction still at the time. I've been doing construction for about for better part of 3 years now, doing finished carpentry, which has been great. It's actually sharpened a lot of my skills as far as like intricate shit I've been doing with like the saw and cutting around certain things, and it's kind of a neat, it's another neat trade, which I think is like people just don't understand what it takes to actually build something. I have a a new big appreciation for any carpenters, any contractors out there, because that is fucking tough work. That's like hard work right there.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you'll be able to utilize it for something too.
Oh, fuck. I've learned so much, dude. It's retarded. It's so crazy how much I've learned. I literally could I feel like I could build a house now. Probably not.
I will fly you to Texas, and I want to see if you can build me a house.
Oh, man, if you need some stairs, I'm down. You know what I mean? You need a wall put up. You know what I mean? I'm good. Some replacement windows. I'm good.
Yeah.
Some doors. I'm good. You know, I've got it down packed, but yeah, it's been a good transition, man. I have a lot of great people, by my side that support me. You know, my boss,
definitely.
my boss in the carpentry side, man, is my best friend. Like my best friend. It literally doesn't feel like
awesome.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. That's difficult to come by.
Yeah. I mean, he understands too. Like he knew me like when I had my own shop. So it's like, he gets it. He knows that like, that's my passion. So for him to be like, hey man, take a couple days, work at that place, take a couple days, work with me. He's like, eventually I know you're going to leave. So, you know, I know that's your end goal. You know what I mean? I just feel like he's going to just like help me. You know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, go for it. And, you know, my boss now, Keith, that owns Wrap Solutions, man, he was my best friend back then too, man. Like we were, you know, two up and coming shops growing at the same time, the same rate. And he just blew up, dude, like literally blew up. So when I got out, he just took over the reins in this location, man. He just huge corporation companies that he's working with, big franchises, nationwide accounts, like literally he's got such a great team there. It's just unbelievable. And I was a one-man band, so I could keep up to a certain extent, but I had to bring in a lot of people to come help me too. So, you know, we went through those struggles together and those growing pains together and figured it out. And at the end of the day, like together, I would help him, he would help me, and we kind of grew the industry in this area in the commercial side really, really fast. So
yeah, that's badass. That's really cool that you had somebody like a boss that kind of understood where you wanted to go and helped you kind of transition. Yeah. I understood that you weren't going to be there for, you know, forever. Yep. Versus like, hey, like it's going to be
all
it's like it's us or them, you know.
Right.
And you need to pick one. So that's pretty cool. Well, so now that you're full time over there, just like you ask everybody else, what you got going on this week?
I have a bunch of clients I'm dealing with. So it's nice to be working in an office space where there's different people that have different services or different avenues they work in. We've got 3 designers, a production person, front desk, 2 other salespeople, and like 10 installers. It's like everybody has their own lane. So it's nice that like I can come in and be like, okay, I'm going to be working on emails today, or I'm going to be working on, you know, I can hop on a wrap if I want to. I feel like now I like the side that I'm on, which is the customer service side, the getting the new clients, meeting new clients, following up on leads, following up on past clients, you know, just being like, hey, how's the wrap going? You guys have anything else coming on the pipeline? Just want to do my due diligence and just call and just see how everything's going. You have any problems? You know, just stuff like that.
Which is really cool because it seems like there's a lot of people who just don't want to deal with people.
Oh, yeah, and man, I love it.
And they'd rather just, you know, do the install and be done with it and
never talk to them again.
Later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing that we really capitalize on. It's, you know, a couple weeks go by, we'll send a quick email. Hey, just touching base, making sure everything's good. You know, just that little extra customer service goes a long way, man. And
without a doubt.
Yeah. So me being hired, I'm able to, you know, go back, look at the jobs we just did a couple weeks prior, send a quick email. Hey, how's it going? Hope everything's well. Hope you've gotten some business from it, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a nice email, already copy and paste, boom, ready to go. So it's It's good, but I think the hardest part that I struggle with is getting those new clients in. It's because we have everything come to the website and come through the website on the form. I'm not able to tap into those. So I literally have to generate my own sales personally. So it's either me out there hustling door to door, catching somebody at the parking lot of Home Depot, calling a couple of my friends and say, hey, I'm back in, let everybody know, where to come, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So I've built this up so far. When I started back in October, I built this up so far till now. I can come in full time and really be able to like hold my own clients, build my relationships, and come in and work on my own stuff. For the company, so
definitely. And it also helps that this isn't your first rodeo. So I mean, you already know how it goes. You know what needs to be done.
Right. A little change of dynamics as far as, I have to learn their process as opposed to how my process was. It was a little bit different.
Right.
So other than that, it was really like trial and error for the first couple months because everything gets funneled into one location for pricing. And then we go back. Mm-hmm. Someone else does the quoting. I get the email and then I, send the email out. Design work, same way. We assign a designer for that particular project. The designer emails me. I mail it out to the client. If this changes, I'm always a middleman because so I know what's going on. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you lose track of that, that's when things kind of fall through the cracks. And it's nice that like I can delegate that and be in the middle of it without really being stressed out of wearing all the hats either. Because that's always the fucking, dude, that's always the biggest case with the 1-man shop, 2-man shop. Mm-hmm. You gotta be fucking wearing all those hats. You gotta deal with everything. Yeah.
And it gets overwhelming sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know how some of those guys do it.
It's crazy, dude. It's a hustle and it's a grind because you know, paperwork alone, you're talking 2 hours, maybe more than that. Depends on the volume. 2 hours of paperwork. So you're either doing a little bit when you get in the morning where it's quiet, and then you're doing a little bit before you end your day.
Right.
But you always end up staying late no matter what. Like there's always a late period. Like there's no, leaving at 6 or leaving at 5, dude. Sometimes I never left my shop. It was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I still had an hour drive home.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I used to do, some installs for a buddy of mine, and he was about an hour from me. And, that was back when I was, working full time. Mm-hmm. So working full time, then getting off at 7 at night, driving an hour to his shop, working for another 5 or 6 hours, and having to drive another hour back home was absolutely ridiculous. It sucks, but
sacrifice you have to make.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking about your shop, I want to ask because when you had approached me, like I had already known about the podcast,
mm-hmm.
So I knew what it was, but I had no idea who you were. Like I didn't know that this is something that you actually been doing. I just assumed that it was. I'm stupid, so I just assumed that it was just
some random dude getting into it.
Yeah, well, not even getting into it, but like that you enjoyed, the industry and you wanted to talk about it. So, how did you even get into like this whole industry? Like, what made you want to do this?
Shit, man, I can go back real deep. So, I think it was probably 2000s, give or take, maybe 99. When I first had gotten my license, I think I was a freshman when I got my license. I was one of 2 freshmen in my high school to ever get a license that early because we needed parking tickets to park in the lot. And I think I was one of 2 for like so many years that ever drove to school as a freshman. It was kind of frowned upon.
And now they get them at like 16.
Yeah. I mean, I got mine at 16 and a half, but because my birthday was in September, I was going in already at 16. So I waited till, I think it was that April, which is ironic, that we're crossing that path. But it was that April that, no, it wasn't April, May, June. that I would get my license at 16 and a half. So, at the time I was into like imports and all that shit. That was like kind of pre Fast and Furious ish, and like all the hot import nights and kind of tuner cars. So, you know, growing up, my parents didn't have much. They kind of worked. So I got passed down my dad's 1988 Hyundai Excel 4-door. It's fucking great, dude. That thing, I mean, it was what it was, but I think I had it for maybe 8 months, and I traded it in for a 1991 Honda Accord, which I decked out. I painted the interior red and white. I fucking slammed it to the ground. I got like the clear tasers on it. I just went fucking ham. TV screen, all this bullshit you do when you're fucking young, right?
Yeah.
Fucking bass tube in the back, your fucking teeth are rattling out of your mouth driving to school in the morning. It's fucking retarded, but that was the thing back then. That was fucking 18-inch rims. Could hardly see the fucking meat on the rims because the car's so slammed. And, you know, back then, the sticker thing was kind of big, like the custom decals, and there was a guy locally in Lynn, which is like 2 towns over. There's a company called ER Graphics. He would make little stickers and do custom graphics, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I could do a graphic on my car. And I didn't think anything of it. Like, I'm like, oh, cool. This dude's got a little shop. He makes some cash. Give him some fucking dough. He'll make me a decal, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's a quick thing to do on the car to make it aesthetically nice or your own. So I'd do like a windshield banner, do some labels on the back windows, shit like that.
Yeah.
Nothing. I was only making short money at the time, so it was like I couldn't spend that much on getting all the stuff I wanted accessory wise, but I built it up, you know, as you do. You save all your pennies. So that went by. I graduated high school 2003, went straight into college the following month. I went for web design originally. I went to school for web design. I wanted to be a web designer because that was huge back then. I had a lot of mentors back then that were getting into the graphic design, web design space. And this was like kind of before like Wix or WordPress was kind of coming out. So like the web design scene was like huge at the time, you know, custom fucking Flash things, custom fucking websites. I was really into it. For the better half of my junior year up until my senior year, I was building websites already.
Really?
For a lot of companies. Yeah. A lot of local companies, small salons, barbershops, little small places, making a couple bucks here and there, but I kind of had a system. I was really, it was kind of messed up because I'm not very book smart now, but when I really get into something, I'm like really into it. So I read up on it. I learned how to code.
Research.
Yeah, I learned how to code really well. So I was building a lot of these websites by code, and a lot of the kids in my class would have to cheat and look at the book, and I could write code straight off my head and design it the way I wanted it. Just sitting down, boom, I'd bang out a website in like a day or two. It was kind of insane because now I couldn't build one for the life of me. But I went to college, went to a school called Gibbs College over in Boston on Newbury Street, which ironically enough was about 3 streets away from one of the only, actually they don't have it anymore, but one of the only sign painting schools in the country that was left here that got bought out. And man, it was called Butera School of Art. A lot of high-end airbrushers, hand painters came out of that school. There's a gentleman in California called Mike LaValle. He was actually the creator of the True Flames for the airbrush industry.
Yeah.
And
I remember when that
he came out of Butera.
Popular.
Yeah, he came out of Butera. He was a Northeast guy. And a lot of airbrushes, Scott McKay, Eric Silverio, Crazy Customs, Paint Shop, Jesse's Custom Designs. He's unbelievable. So Jesse's Custom Designs, he actually airbrushes and paints a lot of Van Halen's stuff, like all the guitars, drum sets.
No shit.
Yeah, dude, it's really insane. So it's ironic because I didn't go to that school, but I know so many people that came out of that school after the fact, which is kind of crazy, that I met through the kind of graphics industry, which is like insane. So I did 2.5 years at Gibbs. I got my associate's degree in visual communications and computer science. So it's kind of like so I wasn't aware of how the degree worked. It's just, I just get like an overall. I didn't get a specific degree in one specific lane. It's kind of, I take a class in web design. I take the class in Photoshop. I take the class in accounting and like all that bullshit you needed to have in between to get your credits. Mm-hmm. And, so I graduated with my associate's degree in computer science and in graphic design, so to say. So,
right.
At the time, going towards my second to last semester, I think it was, or my last semester where you do your internships, I heard a lot of people in the hallways like getting really pissed off because they're like, oh, they're putting us in bullshit places for these interns. So like Staples, fucking UPS, like places you wouldn't even think that, like, okay, I'm going to be a graphic designer. Why would I work at Staples? But now Staples has their own graphic design section where they make banners and signs and shit. And I'm like, I'm not fucking coming here to spend almost 40 grand to go work at Staples. Like,
yeah, hell no.
That ain't working for me. Like, come on, dude. Like, I want to be, I always thought I'd be working behind a desk in a cubicle at a, Fortune 500 fucking, shop or business, and I'd be making $100K coming out of school. You know what I mean? Easy. That was my mindset. And I'm just like,
well, I think that's everybody's mindset coming out of school.
Well, yeah, you want to pay off that fucking debt. Yeah. You want to do this, you want to do that. And, you spent 2.5 years mastering a craft that you want to, eventually make money on. And, after I heard that, I got really discouraged. I'm like, man, that sucks. So what I did was we had our resume together. I had samples of work I've done. So what I did was, dude, this was back in the day. So I don't know, this might be pre your time, but I went on the Yellow Book, dude. Believe it or not.
No, it was around.
It was around back then? All right. Yeah. So I'm talking maybe 2000, late 2004.
Not that young.
That young.
Joe gives me a bunch of crap. Joe gives me a bunch of shit. Oh, millennials, this. Every time I ask him a question, he has to bring up that I'm like a millennial and I don't know shit. Yeah. Look, bro.
I'm sorry.
I was still around for a lot of this shit. All
right. I'll give it to you. You were born in what, 1989?
Okay, I'm not that old.
Okay, all right. I'll give it to you.
Early 90s.
Early 90s, all right. Which was a good era. Very good era.
Yeah.
So I did what anybody, I would hope that anybody would do, is kind of better yourself. So I went in the Yellow Books and I looked up all the sections for graphic design, web design, signs. Signs wasn't even an option. Like, I didn't even know, like, okay, I wasn't even putting the two together, like graphic design and signage. I'm just, for some reason, I didn't think the two would mesh. And what I did was I emailed a bunch of people. I called a bunch of people. I interviewed with a bunch of people. And what ended up happening was everybody was like, nah, we're all set. But I had this one lady, her name's Kerry. She was like, yeah, come on in, show you around. Small little tiny shop, 2-car garage, little small office, come in, show me your stuff, and we'll see what happens. So whatever, I went in there. I told her what I wanted to do. I'm like, listen, I just got to get my credits. If I can come in here and learn something, cool. I just need somebody to sign off on my hours. I just want to learn something new. So she was like, all right, cool. When do you want to start? I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's crazy, So when I walked in, she had one computer for herself, one computer for her cutter, which I knew nothing about any type of equipment that was in the industry. So, like, the cutter was fucking foreign to me. All these tools were foreign to me. So She's like, all right, when can you come in? I'm like, all right, I'll start tomorrow. So came in. I'll never forget, man. And I think I brought this up a bunch of times during the podcast. We had these small little 2-inch, 2.5-inch bulldogs, and she'd cut a sheet of all these little bulldogs, and they're detailed. The face is fucking detailed. It's got this little hard hat on it. And she's like, all right, cool. See all these sheets here? The stickers. She showed me a picture. You have to weed them out, all the backgrounds, and then pick out, the eyes, the detail, the hard hat bullshit, like, because they're stickers. We transfer paper them afterwards.
Yeah.
And then we cut them up. So I'm looking at the sheets, and I'm like, how bad can this be, dude? And there's maybe like 50 or 60 per sheet. I peel the first one. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That was just the top layer. Like, getting the shit off. That's it. I forgot all the detailed bullshit, bro. I spent almost 2 weeks only doing that. Yep. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these stickers, man. It was crazy.
I believe it.
I bit my tongue. I was like, you know what? Whatever. This is a lot better than fucking sitting at Staples. So I get to go outside. I have lunch. I'm learning something. There's cool cars coming by, whatever. So I'm like, fuck it. So I did it. She's like, wow. She literally told me later on in life, she told me, she's like, I thought you were going to quit after the first day. She's like, nobody ever makes it through the first day. Everyone always gives up because they think it's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, weeding sucks.
Oh, weeding does suck.
Especially when it's super detailed. Like, I had mentioned it in my podcast, the episode of, you being on the other end.
Yeah. How the tables have turned.
Right.
Fuck.
Like I started out doing decals, and one of my first orders was a guy who did custom headlights. He did retrofitting. And he sent me his logo, and he wanted 3-inch decals, and it was a circle, and it said, the company name in it, but it had a car, a boat, and an airplane all tied in.
What?
Yeah. And there were only 3 inches, and he did 300 decals. And I think it took me, I was doing them on myself, and I think I spent probably, about a good week weeding them. And then as soon as I shipped them out, he was like, okay, cool. I want another 300.
Oh, man.
And it was, and I never did any more of his stuff after that because it sucked.
Yeah. But you know what? Around that time, digital printers were kind of coming out and kind of getting on the scene.
Oh, yeah. I know. I had it way better than you.
Way better than me.
Things have evolved much
they
since
have.
then.
They have. But it was a good learning curve.
Wi-Fi. We didn't have dial-up.
Oh, my God. Stop. You make me sound like a fucking dinosaur. Jesus Christ.
I had dial-up for a little bit. I won't lie.
Yeah. Oh my God. I gotta say, it was definitely an experience, man. I think, if it was, I don't know, honestly, if it wasn't for that moment that I had called and I got the opportunity to do that, I honestly don't know what I'd be doing right now. You're talking 2005, we're 2019, so that's fucking 14 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like what would I have been doing? Probably something miserable right now that I wouldn't want to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. You found something that you love to do now because you took a chance on something.
And on top of that, somebody took a chance on me at the end. I still give so much credit to Kerry, which Kerry is Eric Silverio's wife. So that's how I met Eric. That's how I met Jesse. That's how I met Mike LaValle and like all these crazy people in the industry. And he was in the airbrush industry. He was doing custom bikes and all that jazz. And she was making a lot of his masks for his airbrushing. I did some cool ass projects. So getting into it, she learned, she figured out that I'm a pretty quick learner. So she taught me how to measure vehicles, how to like use the cutter. That's how I got, that's how I learned a lot on, FlexiSign back then.
Uh-huh.
So FlexiSign is pretty much the biggest vector program to use for cutters back then. And there was other ones as well, like sign something. I forget what the name of it was, but Flexi was my biggest kind of program that I used day in and day out. I was making multiple layers, different colors. Like I said, we didn't have a printer, so everything was always, pre-masked with tape or clear for overlays and done in pieces, basically. The stuff I used to create was just insane. Like, I don't even know how I even got anything done because it was just multiple pieces, multiple layers, everything.
Right.
So I learned how to do that really, really well. And she kind of just gave me the keys and was like, hey, I'm going to leave. You can close up. So I ended up, running the shop a little bit. It was just her and I. So I got to do projects at night. I got to do projects on the weekends if I wanted to. I use a lot of scrap material to do some of my friends' cars. Kind of just like make a couple extra bucks on the weekend. Come in for a few hours, make a couple bucks, use some scraps, and that would be it. So I did that for a long time. Shit, I think I worked with her for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And, I was the main person doing all the masking and custom designs for her husband. We did a Boston Bruins bike. We did a Patriots bike. We did a Red Sox bike. We did a Massachusetts State Police bike, which was real controversial because we weren't allowed to use the Massachusetts State Seal, for the project. And because it wasn't reflective, he was airbrushing it. So I had to take that image because you couldn't get it anywhere as a vector. I had to take that image and then I had to recreate that whole image to a T. And like all the custom intricate stuff, like, the number of the vehicle and all, dude, it was like insane. This bike was probably one of the most talked about bikes around for a very long time. And, I had my hands on all these projects, like the little stitching around the baseball glove design that he airbrushed. Like, I had to create those stitches the way the tank flowed in order for him to airbrush that. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff I worked in back then. And I was straight out of college, man. I was working on jobs like that. We worked for a radio station called WAAF. So they played alternative music and stuff like that. So he had the account with AAF, and that's how we got to build all these cool bikes. So the motorcycles got sponsored by Harley Davidson, would get shipped to him. He'd do a tear down, put custom parts in it, and give it a custom airbrush, and they would actually raffle the bike out at the end. So I've done some pretty cool stuff, not only in the custom lettering and vehicle lettering and stuff like that industry, but also creating masks for airbrushers and stuff like that, which I got a little taste of that part too, and a respect of the hand painters, the stripers, and things like that. And I got introduced that way into the painting world, which is, huge respect, because without that, we wouldn't have what we have now at the end of the day. Yeah,
exactly.
So,
and it's really cool to do like more than one thing, because it really gives you an appreciation for something else that, you had no idea what it was about.
Right.
Kind of like what I've come into is like, like I've painted like a few things like in a booth, and it doesn't look hard because you're just, it just looks like you're spraying a gun, but it's like knowing, you gotta have, the pressure's got to be coming out of the gun just right, and your overlaps have to be spot on, yada, yada, yada. And then, vice versa. My parents have collision centers, so I took my truck in, and it's like those guys are like, the painters are like, holy shit, like I thought that was paint. I thought that was wrap, and they have, they're not used to it. So that's really cool. So did you learn how to wrap over there?
No, I actually didn't get involved with wraps until shit, I'd probably say like 2010, 2011, give or take. I was introduced to wraps. I knew it was an up and coming thing. I knew about it. It was just one of those things. I didn't have the money to front to get one done or to dabble with it or whatnot. I always watched everyone else do it, and I was part of like the sign builder magazine, so I'd see what was going on. I'd read up on certain things and see what everybody in the West Coast is doing, and the wrap thing would always come up, even if it was just not so much a wrap, but maybe like a partial, like a custom printed logo for a door, where you would think, okay, wow, that's multiple layers, but why, holy shit, he's got a fade in that. How did he make that happen? And you know what? Back then, they used to make fades with spray paint on vinyl. They would weed it all out and spray paint the fade on there, and then frog juice it, and then put their other layers on top or whatnot to make that effect real. So it actually looked like it was either airbrushed or digitally printed back then. And man, that was mind blowing. Like, it's like, whoa, you can spray paint on vinyl and then clear it and then use it to put on different like, it was insane, the stuff I was doing back then, man. Just trying to get that digital look was the whole thing,
Right. Yeah.
So to see that in magazines and then being able to implement it, dude, like my mind was blown. I was like, damn, like I can do this. Like, this is cool, So, I mean, I worked with her for 1.5 2 years. When I finally graduated, my parents were like, hey, what do you want for your graduation present? They're the kind of type of people that, you do something real good. I'm the first one from my family to go to college. It was a big deal.
I want to reward you.
Yeah. So they were like, hey, what do you want? I was like, cool. I want a 24-inch cutter. That was my,
nice.
That's what I wanted. Cause I figured, you know what? Not for nothing, I can make some money with it, if anything. So at the time we got I think it was a GX, I forget, it was a GX 24, I think. It was a little 24-inch rolling cutter. Had just come out back then, 2006-ish, give or take. Man, I used to piss out of that thing, man. I used to run huge rolls of film every day. So in my apartment, I had this kind of like, it was kind of like a little porch area, but I was on the second floor. It was like a little porch side area where I kind of made into my little office. I put a small desk in there. I put my plotter like on the other side of the room and connected everything. And back then we used to have to use serial ports. Like, that's how it worked. It wasn't USB and all that bullshit we have now. It used to be serial ports like that.
Yeah, again, because that was way back in the day.
Yeah, so I had a serial port that to my fucking laptop that was like old school, and then make all my designs on my computer. So it would be a lot of like USB to USB and then fucking save it and then fucking plug.
Yeah, which they don't even make anymore.
Dude, now everything's just fucking airdrop, boom, done, like good to go.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah. So I did
throw it on the Dropbox.
Yeah, that's it. And then you could download it, boom, send it to the cutter, be done. So, back when I was doing all that stuff, I figured, okay, if I get the cutter, I don't have to come to work anymore. I can buy my own rolls of film, my own dime. And I can do stuff from home, in my parking lot, outside. I can go to their house and do it, whatever. It alleviates me going from where I lived to Woburn, which was about 25 minutes. And I can do everything from home. So I did that for, I don't know, maybe another 2 years, give or take. My daughter was born in 2006. So I was kind of semi doing stuff from home. So back then, my wife at the time had a pretty good job in Boston. She'd work all day. I'd stay home with my daughter. I'd watch her because it was cheaper that way to, not have her in daycare and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. I get to chill with my daughter, all that stuff. I get to work from home, make a couple extra bucks to pay bills and stuff like that till I kind of get things rolling. And honestly, I didn't have a business plan. I wasn't expecting things to kind of go the way they went, but 2 years later, I couldn't bring clients to my house anymore, unfortunately. Walking through my kitchen, through my bedroom, into my fucking side office. It was kind of ridiculous, but you know what? I did it to make money. And as long as my kid was fed and I was fed and the family was good, then it was what it was at the time.
Right.
So I gathered some money together. I'd take her with me to go do installs, take her in the carriage, run around with her nap times, and I'd be outside lettering one door with her in the car seat next to me, and then I'd take her with me to the other door and letter another door, and that's kind of what I did for a little while. And a lot of my old school clients still remember that time when I used to come to them when they were at a job, have my daughter, and now they see my daughter. She's gonna be 13 soon. They see her, they're like, "Whoa, like, is that your daughter you used to have in your seat? They used to bring with." I'm like, "Yeah, man, look at her now. Crazy. She's almost as tall as me." Like,
yeah,
it's kind of humbling because those types of clients that I've had for so long remember that and remember the struggle that I used to go through just to make $1. And it's nice to have those clients still around that appreciate that because they understood it. You know what I mean? They understood the struggles. They understood like what I had to do in order to make something happen.
Right.
So
I
did it. I did that, dude. And it just got to a point where I couldn't, too many coffee shops meetings and meeting at my house. And it just got a little overwhelming. And I was just like, you know what? If I can find a real cheap shop, maybe it's time that, I open something up. So
yeah, and I was gonna ask you, you go through the struggle, you go through the motions. At what point did you get your shop and really kind of hammer down?
I want to say it was 2000, maybe it was 2008, give or take. I'm not very good with dates because I'm like, well, I've been in the industry for how long? And I want to say 2005, but 2005 total in the industry, but for myself, probably only like 10 years for myself because I gotta add in those 2 years with so-and-so and a little bit of freelancing with some other people. But overall, I've been in the industry, give or take, since 2005. So let's just say 2008 was when I was like, you know what? I gotta get a shop. I looked around Craigslist. I found a shop locally next town over in Salem. It was literally like in the ghetto, dude, like straight up. Like I was in a bad part of town, but it was what I could afford. I think it was like $650 a month.
That's
and
cheap.
It included everything, dude. I had a small little storefront. I had a little office. I had a little tiny production area in the back where I kept my cutter. And I had literally a 1-car garage that I could only letter a car on one side. I had to put the car to one side of the garage so I can do one side and then pull it out.
No shit.
Fucking turn it around, put it up against the other side again, and then letter the other. I couldn't do both sides at the same time. I had to move the car back and forth. Dude, I did that for 2008. I did that for probably fucking 6 years.
Damn.
Yeah. Maybe
that's intense.
Maybe 5 years, give or take.
That's a lot of back and forth.
I had to do, but you know what? At the end of the day, I knew where I was at. I gained the relationship of my neighbors in my surrounding areas. Like when I walked in, dude, I was scared to walk out at night. This is how bad it was in this area. Like it was pretty bad, but I ended up becoming friends with a lot of people, and I'll give you a good story. Give you a really good story. So as bad as the area I was, I think the thing was like I was like the gringo in the area. You know what I mean? A little fucking white dude in the area. Like, oh shit, he's trying to make something out of nothing over here. What's going on? So one day, prideful, I got a lot of checks in the mail that day. So I'm in my office. I'm writing up my receipt to go to the bank that day. And I have some cash. So I got about $1,000 full of cash. Mind you, $1,000 full of cash and maybe like another like $700 to $800 worth of checks. I'm like, cool. Rent's going to get paid. Rent at home's going to get paid. I get to pay my car insurance, all that bullshit. Like, it's going to be a good month. It's a good week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I fucking put it in my pocket. I get in my car. I go to the fucking bank, which is the next town over, about 10 minutes. I get to now mind you, this is about 12:45 on a Saturday. Bank closes at 1. Cool, I'm going to deposit it. I get to the bank, bro, through the car lot thing to go to the window. I can't find the fucking deposits. I put them all paper clipped. Bro, I did not. And dude, I'm getting out of the car. I'm looking underneath the seat. I'm like, my heart is falling out of me, bro. Like, legit. Like, my ass.
Yeah, I mean, you had your plan. You had it all set up how you're going to fucking pay everything. And then it just goes to shit.
$1,000 worth of cash, gone. Never find it. Yep. Checks I can have replaced. $1,000, gone, dude. If somebody picked that up, that's it. I'm done, right? So I tell the bank, oh shit, maybe I left that back at the shop. I'll be back, blah, 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 blah. I get to the shop, fucking can't find it in the shop. I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't put it in my pocket. Dude, Saturday, bank's closed. I'm like, damn. Sunday, I'm fucking shitting bricks. I'm like, damn, dude, like, what's going to happen? I'm so screwed right now. It's, this is it. I'm going to have to close my doors. Over fucking $2,000. Like, this is my mindset. Monday morning, 9 a.m., I get to the shop. I get a phone call from my bank. They're like, hey, just want to call you and say your deposit's all set. And I'm like,
what?
My deposit's all set? They go, yeah, after you left, somebody came by and dropped it in the box to put the deposit. I'm like, how much?
Shit.
I'm like, how much did they put? She's like, the whole thing was written out, ready to go with your account number on it, and they just left it here and then drove away. And I'm like, you didn't even ask? She goes, no, they just dropped it off, said they found it, and they dropped it off for you. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Fucking lucky.
Dude, what are the odds of that happening ever?
Nobody would.
Good Samaritan, found that on the floor, bro, picked it up, saw where my bank was, went and deposited the fucking money for me. And
just leaves.
And just leaves. That's it. Done. Holy shit, dude. That's when crazy. That's when I knew, okay, I've kind of made it in my area because...
Yeah. Did you never find out who it was?
Never found out who it was, man. They never came in
crazy.
And said, I found it. It was great. I would have given them a reward for it, dude. That's how, that was a make or break moment for me. Even back then, every penny counts. I was getting paid little by little every day for certain jobs. Some of the accounts I had for like dealerships and stuff, they're going net 30s. They never go fucking net 30s. You're always waiting fucking 45 days for your check.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, I already put the money out and, it is what it is. But it was always good to get paid every day or at least a couple times throughout the week.
Right.
To float yourself, you know what I mean? So that story, man, that I hold that story near and dear because there's somebody out there that deserves the recognition for that. And I'll never know who it was, but I'm so grateful that somebody took that and did what they did, which the easiest part was to just take the money and drop the checks. Done.
Yeah.
You can't trace that, you know what I mean? But it would have been the end of me at that point.
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, I mean, you would have gone in a whole different direction.
Dude, I think that would have been my turning point at that time.
Yeah.
Make a break right there. And I'm super grateful that that person did what they did because that catapulted me about a year later into my 4,000 square foot shop, about the next town over in Beverly. I met, which, I didn't bring up, but there was a awning company, the next block over from me. He's been there for since 1950 something. He bought the company from the original owner back in the day. His name's Roger Hool. And he came to me asking for masks. Again, I was very knowledgeable in masks because I did it all for the airbrushing guys in the area. And he was like, hey, I need some masks to paint on the awnings, because he used to roll the templates on and paint them by hand with the masks. And I was like, yeah, cool. I know exactly what you need. Anytime you need anything, just come by. I'll make you a mask and we'll be good to go. Well, I ended up becoming really good friends with him throughout the years, and he ended up being a really good mentor for me, because business-wise, opening up a business, I didn't know anything about that, dude. I didn't know about, incorporating and business insurance, all this.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, and I know I talk about that a lot on the show. So it's like, it's very important. Yeah, very important, dude. You could lose everything you've ever worked for.
Yeah. You lose everything.
Gone.
Yep.
Gone. You know what I mean? So he helped me out a lot with that, gave me good advice, real good business advice on what to do and how to do it. And I looked up to him a lot, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have had the stuff I had, being legit, and getting out of being a sole proprietor and being able to reap the benefits of being a incorporated business. But he helped me out a lot. So he owned his building up the street, and he ended up selling it. And he was looking for a new location. He was getting ready to retire, but he needed another location to keep the clients going. Hopefully he could sell the business and all that. So he ended up finding this location, 4,000 square feet. He didn't need 4,000 square feet. So he was like, hey, Jeff, you want to come in? I'll charge you $1,000 in rent. Easy.
Damn.
You get basically the whole garage, because all I need is a little tiny section. You get your own office. He hooked me up, bro. Like, I got the bigger office. He got the smaller one, and he hooked me up big time. He was like a father to me. You know what I mean? And he wanted to see me succeed, and I know he said that to me numerous times. He wanted me to succeed and do well, and just a solid guy to meet. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit, getting a little emotional.
No, I mean, that's cool, because there's a lot of people who are only out to really get their own and
then that's
do
it
it for themselves. Yeah. So I mean, for you to have something like that, not only just him, but it's been throughout almost your whole career in the business is really awesome.
Right. Yeah. He's seen it all, and giving me advice was good to know that, okay, you don't do that because you're gonna get screwed. Go do this. You know what I mean? It was
right.
Nice to have a helping hand, and whenever I needed anything, I could go to him and ask. So it worked out a lot. So for us to be in one location, I was already doing work for him already, so it was just easier for him to just be like, hey, Jeff, cut this mask for me when you have a chance. He's one door over. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was a win-win for him too, So, and on top of that, when we had moved in, he wasn't ready on moving in, so I had the whole entire building to myself for almost 2 months.
Nice.
So it was cool. It was definitely cool. So yeah, so if it wasn't for all that, I wouldn't have been where I was then. But even prior, about a year prior to me moving there, or a year and a half prior to me moving there, the whole digital market and wide format printing was really coming up, 2010, 2011, 2012. And I was starting to reap the benefits of that, because the older machines that were out there, like the old Rolands, the SPs, and the old Versacams and all that stuff, people were starting to go out of business and sell them for a discounted rate. So I was always looking on Craigslist every morning. That was like my routine every morning. Check on Craigslist. Who's going out of business? Somebody's selling something I can buy. Just being an asshole. You know what I mean? I was cocky back then. I was like, yeah, like I'm the man. Oh, thanks, asshole. So I'm like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm going to fucking take the next step. I'm going to buy a printer. So I'll never forget. It was a week before Christmas, bro. And,
you know, I got all my kids their gifts and stuff, and I had some money left over. It was a good. I had a really great year, and leading up to the new year, I knew it was going to be super great, and I had a little money aside, and dude, literally 5 blocks from me, this guy was going on. I didn't even know this guy even was there. It was this guy called Snappy Signs. I'll never forget. And he was selling a SP540V, a Roland, 54-inch Roland, with a Dej laminator, which, if anybody knows Dej, those fucking things suck. But, dude, I got a smoking deal on it. Smoking deal. Like, I could not say no. And lo and behold, the week before Christmas, I bought myself a fucking printer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was the greatest, scariest thing I've ever done, to be honest with you.
It's a big step. I mean, even now, even still, it's a big, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
It is. And for somebody not knowing how to kind of work it, or even know how to produce the graphics for it to print, like, that was scary for me, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to figure all this shit out. The cutter was straight. I could figure that out. This probably couldn't be that much different, but, it was what it was. And I'll never forget, man, it was probably 3-4 months that I had it. I probably went through like 3 rolls of film of like Oracal 30. It was, I think it was the Oracal, calendared film. It was like for stickers. It was like a 3.5 mil material. I was just using it to cut die cut stickers and print decals and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I went through 2 rolls easily trying to figure out how to like work it. You know what I mean? How do I set up the files to cut with it? Like all that, because it was all in one. It was print and cut. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had to figure all that chemistry together all at once, on top of figuring out how to set up my files. And I had a long fucking turning curve with that. Long one. Setting up files at 300 DPI, saving those fucking huge ass files. Oh my God, like an hour or 2.
Yep.
Like, I fucked up a lot. Like, it's funny, I look back now, it's just like, wow, I worked like an asshole back then.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went through the same thing, because I taught myself everything.
Yeah.
And then going back, between that and then going with, the people who sold us the printer, they helped me out too, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's coming from a designer aspect, now I got to get into like real production. It was like, holy shit. I never forget my first real like print cut job I did for a vehicle was, it was an art school kind of, class business somebody had, and they found me online, and I had to print this name with this kind of paintbrush, and I could not figure out how to get the paint, because the paintbrush was so many layers. I didn't know how to weld everything to make the solid cut file behind it. And it's just, I couldn't figure it out. It took me forever. And back then, YouTube wasn't what it was now. You couldn't find things excessively like you can now. You can do a fucking Google search and you can find out how to do anything. And back then there was none of that. Yeah, back then there was zero of that. And I used a lot of if anybody knows, Signs 101. So that was a big website forum you would log into. You'd be a member and you could ask questions, you could troubleshoot, you could ask about a specific font. People would help you out finding stuff, information, and you ever put something up there, you're never going to get an answer right away because it's hit or miss. It could be a couple hours before somebody responds to it. Could be a couple days before somebody responds to it. And I was actively on there asking questions, like things that would go wrong. I'd be like, oh, I got to go Signs 101. I got to look it up, see if somebody asks that question and see how they troubleshooted it. And, man, that was what I used back then. Signs 101, man. If anybody remembers that forum, which I think is still up, it's still on there for a lot of the old school sign guys and girls and shit like that. That was that was my research area to find information, which was wild, dude. Wild.
Joe probably knows what it is. I'll ask Joe later.
Oh yeah.
You're old enough. I'm sure you know what it is. I can't wait. I can't wait to get a text from him as soon as he listens to this.
Oh my god. It's gonna be so funny.
That's gonna be great. Yeah. So you get your printer and you're kind of dabbling into this. So where do you go from there? You know, you've already tested. You've tested with Calendar, and you start your prints. Then what?
Well, Calendar is a lot cheaper. You'd buy, 150 yards of it. You'd probably spend $350, maybe $400, maybe a little less back then. I can't really remember. I can't recall. But then I start figuring out, the difference between calendared and cast. I'm like, oh, cast. What's this? Like bubble free? Like what? How do I make that work? Can I do something with that? And so I started buying smaller, half rolls because those were more cost effective for me. So I would do samples. I'd dabble with my truck that I had at the time and like, oh shit, okay, I can move it around, or okay, fuck, it's too saturated. How do I get it not to be so saturated, because the technology of the film doesn't work anymore. Basically, it's gone because it's so saturated. So I had to figure out, okay, shit, I have to have profiles for this and different materials for the different profiles. I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to download a 3M profile. I got to download an Avery profile, all this shit, right, for different materials. Well, after like a year of just like trial and error, I finally figured out like a specific profile that worked perfect with the material that I got the best color out of, and I didn't have that saturation problem. And dude, it literally like opened up the floodgates for me, because I went from making, 2 doors in the tailgate for me at that time. That was my biggest moneymaker. I was banging those out left and right. 2 doors and tailgate, $500. 2 doors, nice. 2 tailgate, $500. But I was working like an asshole. If I wanted to get creative, 2-3 color, and I'm cutting it out of vinyl, dude, I'd be there 2 hours trying to fucking fuck with it. But then as soon as I got the printer, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I can just print the whole thing, cut it out, bam, fucking 20 minutes, 2 doors in the tailgate. I just made $500. Like,
nice.
Easy.
Yeah.
So that was my bread and butter, was the small business, landscapers, construction, electricians. That was my market, because I used to go to Home Depot at night and during the morning, like early morning, when those contractors and carpenters would be going in and grabbing their stock for the day. I'd go and leave my business card on all their cars in the lot, dude. Just, that's what I did for like a long time. Fuck, I had to do what I had to do to make money, because I had rent at home, I had rent at the shop, I had material to buy, ink to buy. I'd always have to have, that was the biggest thing too. It's like I always had to have an extra set of inks, available, because, $500 worth of ink in the machine, great. How about if I need to pull one out, or it goes bad, or, it's gone? I can't run that printer if I don't have the ink. So $500 in the machine, $500 on the shelf. Like, I had $1,000 worth of ink constantly. So I had to build all that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went from buying 220 milliliters of cartridges to 440s. Now I'm, I go spending $80. Now I'm spending $140. The cost is a little bit more, but I got more out of it longevity wise. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
It worked out really, really well. But, hitting up those Home Depots, getting everything started, I'd go to the mall. I'd leave a couple cards on some vans I'd see out there that weren't lettered, and I hustled, man. That's the way I did it back then. Hustled like crazy, because it literally was do or die. Business, the misconception you get is, okay, if I open up a location and nobody really knows you and you haven't been around for a while, the misconception is, okay, if I have a location storefront, people are going to walk through that door and want my services. Fuck
Not
no.
gonna happen.
No, not gonna happen, dude. You know, when I first opened up my first shop, I sat in that shop all week. Not one person walked through that door. You know how discouraged I was?
Yeah, I bet it felt like shit.
Like complete shit. Like, did I make the wrong decision? You know, you can't wait for people to walk through your door. You need to make.
You gotta go out there and make it happen.
You need to make it happen, dude. You need to make it happen, regardless. Whether you're working from home, whether you got a shop, whether you're mobile, you need to put yourself out there. And, you know, I had some good business prior walking into opening the shop. I already had business, but those people weren't coming in and day out. It was like once a month, twice a month, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, you're just here and there.
Yeah. I mean, when they came in, it was great, but at the same time, it's like, okay, wait a minute. I need to find new clients. So I'd walk the streets, I'd go to shops around the neighborhood, and now I'm literally downtown Salem. So like, if you know like the witch trials and like Halloween for Salem is, I'm literally 1 block away from where this all happens come October. So there's a bunch of shops, now it's like a bunch of breweries, bunch of like, outside seating, restaurants, bars. Like there's a bunch of people on that street. And I literally went to everybody. I was like, here I am. I'm right down the street. You need some lettering done, window graphics, decals on the floor, whatever. I'm right here. And a lot of those Salem people are kind of like eager to use people in their town. They're like townies. Like they want to use people in the neighborhood. They want to, you want to come have a meal. You come in, you pay for your meal. I want some lettering done. I'm going to use you because you're part of the community. And that's how it was in Salem. And it was nice to have that sense of community in that area. And,
yeah, definitely.
And, man, it humbled me to know that there were people out there, you know, that would want to give me a shot. But like reality was, it's like, okay, I got to make this really happen now. I've got too much. I put another bill on my plate, so I have to make sure I cover that. If not, I got to step away and go back from doing it from home, and I know that wasn't going to be a fucking option.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was that. Moved into my big shop, and by that time, I was already more or less full-blown wrap shop. I actually changed the name of my business. Originally from home, because I had to get my DBA, I scrambled to make a name. So I came up with the name Pro Style Designs, which didn't really make sense. I mean, it was kind of foolish what I had, and that the logo sucked, which usually is the case when your first business, your first logo, it's just kind of put together and that's that. And Pro Style Designs fit for what I was doing for the customization graphics scene, but it really didn't mesh well with my commercial clients, which I knew that was where I wanted to go, was the commercial end. I didn't want to dabble with the graphics. I wasn't making enough money for the amount of time I was taking on doing these custom stripe kits, you know, Fast and Furious style graphics, multi-layered graphics. God, I couldn't tell you how many times I used to do from the front fender to the back quarter panel, like this kind of like angled rectangular boxes that would go from thin to thick down the side, one color, two color designs. That was like my bread and butter. I was making those left and right, but you know, I wasn't making a ton of money. It was like $175 a side, maybe $150 a side. And it would take me a couple hours, you know, make sure everything lined up and cut it. And, you know, it was what it was, but it wasn't me. So when I moved into my new shop, I'm like, you know what? I got to like put a sign up. I got to change the name. It sucks that I had to change the name 2 years later, but it's, you know, I felt like it wasn't fitting what I wanted. I wanted people to understand what I did. So,
right. Sometimes you got to rebrand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows it sucks. I mean, look at Dan Antonelli. He rebranded after fucking 20 something odd years or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look what he's doing now.
He's blowing it up. People understand what he's doing.
Just kicking ass.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rebrand, but I don't know what I want to do. So I waited. I moved in, didn't put the sign up yet, all this jazz. And a friend of mine that I used to do a ton of work for, he used to like really promote the shit out of me on like, and back then, you're going to laugh your ass off, but back then I used to promote on MySpace. That was the biggest thing for me.
Who was your top 8? Who was your top 8?
Dude, I couldn't tell you, bro. Top 8? Holy shit.
I would hope that I would have been at least 1, 2, possibly 3.
Possibly 3?
If I really had to, I would settle for 3, but
oh, man.
I would aim for 1 or 2.
That was the shit back then, man. That was pre-Facebook and all that
dude,
jazz,
you
man.
put the music on your profile. You can make the fucking background custom.
Yes.
Shit.
That was what I was doing, man. I didn't even have my own name. I just had the business.
I don't know if you were around, but like, if you were dating someone, like, your chick would have to go in there and like write your bio and put that like they were in there and
we're in a relationship.
Do you have that? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Nope. Fuck that. That's like the equivalent to having a joint Facebook account.
Right. Oh my God, dude.
That's gonna be Joe soon.
That's gonna be Joe soon. Too many jokes for Joe. But that's what I did, man. MySpace was like the shit back then. I used to like put that was my portfolio. That was my website back then. It's like, yo, check out my MySpace.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy because a lot of people, like, it's still kind of like that now, but with Instagram.
Right.
There's a lot of people that you don't even need a website almost because your Instagram is kind of like your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Which Chuck is going to hate me for this. It sucks for Chuck because of that shit that happened.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how it's like, it's kind of taking a different turn, but it's almost the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more technologically better. Because
advanced is what you were trying to say?
Yeah, dude, because now
Jeff. You're not that old.
I know, dude. It's just now you can monetize it. You can see how many people view your shit. You can see how long you've been on it throughout the day and get depressed and like all this shit. Like back then it was cool because you could interact with other people and you could kind of set up your own portfolio, which was a win-win.
And you can post, you can repost the same picture God knows how many times and not win a contest.
Right. Too. Exactly.
And I won't say who was involved in making that decision.
Here we go. The jabs.
But jabs. It's just, it's unfair, really.
Dude, we're like an hour.
It's really unfair.
We're like an hour in, bro, and I don't even think anybody knows who you are yet. Do we even disclose that?
We've never mentioned it. No.
So for everybody,
I'm just some random dude talking.
Some random dude. So people who might know or not know, this is Mr. Sean Martinez.
That's me, baby.
From Vantage Works. And
you're already screwing my name up. Okay, that's cool.
Vantage Vinyl Works, dude. I
go.
told
that's
you had to change the name.
The tongue twister.
It's too many V's. Vantage Vinyl.
I don't care how many V's it is. It ain't changing.
I guess. All right, back on the topic of changing names now. We got that out of the way.
I'm still salty with Chuck for changing the rules on that damn thing. All right, it was supposed to be who posts it more, not. We'll go into the hashtags and we'll do it this way. Nope. Still salty, Chuck. Still salty.
It's all right. I'll send you a little goodie bag for the inconvenience. All right.
I got your stickers right before.
And a goddamn t-shirt.
And before, like, I didn't realize till right before I was about to leave for the airport, all your drawings on the back of each sticker.
Yeah, man. I made them good, right?
Absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna see if I still got them somewhere. I never used them because, for those who didn't go, we were going to a Halloween costume for SEMA and it didn't go as planned, but I was going as Jeff.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Chuck may have noticed, but I was so confused as to who this little guy was just giving me the stink eye. that I was in the corner just chilling by myself with Black Sean, with Sean McNair, who's become a really good friend of mine thanks to Joe and the All Wrap It Up podcast. But back on topic, we're getting off topic. We're getting off topic. But okay, so you have your shop now. You have your bigger shop. You've rebranded. So does the rebrand help you?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Do you shoot up from there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I narrowed it down to a T to where I wanted to go, because I think at that point, being 5-6 years into my business, being at one location, creating a name for myself, I think I knew where the market was going. Now being in full-fledged in the market and understanding how things are starting to work and where everything is going to progress to go. So, I foreseen that, the rap industry is going to be the new age. Like, nobody's going to be doing cut vinyl as much. It's going to phase out. Yeah. I'm either going to have to jump on this rap industry, or I'm just going to get left in the dust and I'm going to be kind of pigeonholed in one little niche. So,
right.
Back when I was doing graphics, I created a name. Well, I didn't actually create a name. My good friend did on going back to MySpace. Was he was making a little blurb about me and how I helped him out with some graphics. And at the end of the blurb, he's like, "Let your designs flow." And I was reading it, and I was reading it over and over again. I'm like, designs flow. I'm like, how about I just change the name to Designflow Graphics? I was like, that was it flowed. You know what I mean? Designflow. It just, it really worked out really well. I really loved the name, and the graphics scene was still good. I kind of kept myself open because I was doing a lot of everything, a lot of signage, a lot of decals, and then, the vehicle lettering stuff. So overall, it was a fitting name. And I knew when I wanted to transition to the bigger shop, I knew I wanted to focus more on wraps. So
right.
I dropped graphics and put wraps, Designflow wraps. And dude, it was like literally the floodgates opened it was crazy. And I know I mentioned this on my last podcast with Justin Baker from Auto Trimmers, was, when you make a decision to get into a bigger shop or into a shop, the misconception that you get is that, oh my God, if I get a small shop, great. If I get a big shop, I got to fill it up. I got to do this and do that. Right. Like he said, if you build it, they will come. Literally, my first week of being at that location, mind you, I'm in there 2 months before my buddy Roger moves in. So I've got a 2,500 square foot shop, garage space, mind you. We have offices upstairs on the second floor, garage space just open. And I'm like walking in, bringing all my equipment in, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just like, shit, man, I got to make this work. Like, I got to fill this up. Dude, the next week, I got a purchase order for like 20-something trucks for this fire business. They do sprinkler systems and fire protection and stuff like that. And man, I was like, yeah, bring them in. Dude, they all came from Enterprise one by one. It was literally like one after another. Boom, boom, boom. Dude, I walked in there, and I wish I would have saved the picture because I took it from the stairs up top. Dude, the garage was just full of fucking Ford Transits, just like all lined up, dude. And let me tell you something. When you first get into something to that magnitude, right, and you look back at those kind of milestones and you can remember those things, dude, I literally was tearing up when I saw all the trucks in there, because I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, that's huge. And for that to happen almost like right when, like, instantly. I mean, did it happen? Like, so instantly. It happened almost instantly after you changed your name?
I literally put my quote in weeks prior, right? I literally put my quote in weeks prior. And I'm like, this is too big of a job. I'm probably not going to get it. I've had numerous conversations with the owners. I've had really great communication. And that was the best part about working alone, was whenever somebody called, it was always me answering the phone. If not, maybe my ex-wife would pick up the phone. But 9 out of 10 times, it was me picking up the phone. So I think that's what they liked about it, that they didn't get somebody else, or, hey, we'll call you back when he gets back in, et cetera, et cetera. I think they liked that part of, like, hey, when I call, I get the same guy every time. So
yeah,
I like
that's
that.
huge. People, yeah. And I think that goes really for everything. People like knowing that they're going to talk and deal with the same person every time.
Yep.
But since you mentioned, like, you know, that happened after you changed your name, I had seen it on the Rap Society. There was a post. I'm not going to mention exactly which post it was, but since you mentioned, like, all of this happened and, like, things kind of started to look up after you kind of, like, rebranded. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's kind of like how do I say it? Business wise, do you think it depends on where you're at? What's the word? Geographically? Or do you think it's how you brand and market yourself as far as your name, or is it a combination of both? Because like you said, you kind of just changed your name and threw in the word raps, and it was like everything changed.
For me, geographically, I think my area that I was in was a great location because it was accessible from the highway. I think that plays a big part, you know, your location and where people can find you and your source of traffic that drives by. Right. I was right in front of a T station, a train station. So there's hundreds of people getting off a T station coming in and out of Boston daily. Every day would see my sign. So, not that I would get a lot of business off the street, but I think a combination of me changing my name, knowing my lane, making changing my location, and then on top of that, doing a lot of my SEO stuff with my website. I was starting to get back into the website thing and starting to figure out, okay, how can I, you know, go about this without spending stupid money? Because there's people out there that spend thousands of dollars for SEO and to be ranked. I never spent a dime on that, and I was always first page every time. Like, because I was constantly daily or weekly changing the website, adding stuff, taking stuff, adding more text, adding more links. You know, one thing that I did was I put a lot of my surrounding towns in my website in the background, you know, so people would just kind of funnel in and find me some way, somehow. And I think that helped a lot, getting more recognition for those bigger clienteles, those big fleet jobs. A lot of my still small clients that I worked with, you know, it never changed for them at all. But, you know, as far as for me, like the commercial end, man, I was really hitting it hard with like 5, 10, 15 trucks, couple of ambulances, getting into like the more big stuff, because I had help at the time. I hired an outsourced company that was 3M preferred for installations. It was a group of guys. It was like 4 dudes, and I'd pay them for the day, and they'd come in and bang out jobs all day long. And when I found that happy medium of having them come into work, I was able to focus on sales. I was able to go to another meeting and not be stuck at the shop and have to install or anything like that. I was able to go out and get more work, which in turn keeps them busy, but then I would be making more money too, because I'm making a little bit more money off of them being there. So it was like a win-win for me, for sure, you know, having that extra help.
So you have this, you know, this big shop, and you've done, you know, your rebrand and everything, and you know, you got these, you know, your installers and everything. And I know it really, really sucks to bring it up and talk about it. But like you said, the meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
Let's get into that. All right.
So I hate to use the word, and when we talk, I try not to bring it up or, really mention it. And I try and steer away from it because I know it sucks.
Yeah.
And the good news is, you're back in it now, but kind of take me through what happened, because I didn't know. Like I said, I knew nothing about you, and I don't think I even knew that you had your own wrap shop and had your own business till probably a good month, almost 2 months of us kind of going back and forth via text or phone calls. Yeah, it had been a while, and this whole time I just thought that, you were just some dude who just enjoyed the industry and started to get to know people. So
I wish that was the case. It'd be easier.
Yeah, but right. But yeah, dude, let's dig into the nitty gritty. Those meat and potatoes. What you got?
Those meat and potatoes. Yeah, man. So
just damn meat and potatoes.
Damn, they get you every time. Yeah. So I was doing well. I was actually doing real well. Basically at probably the peak of my business. Everything was real good. Business is flowing. I'm literally not having to stress out about work or jobs coming in. And, it was just probably like probably late 2014, 2015, give or take. I get kind of blindsided.
It really wasn't that long ago.
No, it was 4 years ago, almost. Yeah, 4 years ago. I get blindsided by divorce, unfortunately. The business really took a toll on my relationship, always being there. I already had another kid at the time, back in 2012. Had my other daughter, and the business kind of took me away from being at home so much. So that put a real toll. And, obviously the more responsibility you have, the bigger shop you've got. Now I've got subs that I'm keeping busy, and I'm going after bigger work. The amount of stress now that gets put on you, and the time now you have to spend in order to create these, competitive prices for these, fleet jobs was taking a lot of time away from me being at home. And, 2 years of doing that, it was kind of tough on top of, other things. It wasn't just all the business that, it came to an end, but it was a multitude of other things as well. So I think the straw that broke the camel's back was, I wasn't home a lot, in which at the end of the day, the relationship suffered from that. So I went through a pretty brutal divorce. Basically, had to close my business. I kept it open for a solid year to fulfill some of my obligations that the court needed me to fulfill. So, given that I was making good money, I was able to take care of whatever I needed to take care of from the courts. So, I kept it open for another year. But it was tough. My last year in business was my hardest, because I knew at the end of the 12 months that it was going to be coming to an end. And mind you,
yeah, I can't even imagine.
Now I've been doing this for the better part of 2007 to 2015, 16 now.
Yeah.
And I basically ate, slept, breathed the industry. I woke up, I went to work, I came home, I had a routine. And to have that routine not there anymore was scary for me. It was a difficult time, and hence the reason why, this episode here brings a lot of significant, the time framing is significant for me, because when we do this episode 86, now I would have loved to have my episode be 100, but the significance of the April 1 is huge for me. So I actually opened up my business April 1 back in 2006. Okay. And, 10 years later, 2016, I closed my business April 1, ironically enough. So it's a tough pill to swallow thinking back those 10 years, that 10-year span where I opened up on this date and I closed up on the same date 10 years later. And now here I am on the podcast doing something completely different, and I'm able to share my story on that same date and experiences on that same date that it came out. And it's bittersweet a little bit because, it was such a tough time in my life that I got out of the industry, one, because I couldn't keep my business going because of the, lack of a better word, bullshit I was going through. Mentally, I was suffering because my clients weren't getting the best of me. I was literally miserable going into work. I was sleeping at work, and then working through the night. I was like pulling fucking weird times. I'd work at night, sleep during the day, and work in the morning, take a nap at night, and during the afternoon, work all night. Like, I was really fucked up for a good year and a half. It literally, to think that I worked 10 years for my personal life to disintegrate from it, I regretted opening up the shop. That was my mentality back then, was I regretted it. I didn't think it was worth losing, seeing my kids every day and living the life that I had. I didn't think it was worth it, going through all that bullshit to just not have nothing at the end to enjoy it with or to give to my kids. Because ultimately enough, I'm building this business to provide for my family. And at the same time, I'd love to see my kids walk in my footsteps. Not that I would press them for it, but it would be nice to have them grow up in the shop, learn the industry, be ahead of the curve, and be like, okay, here you go. It's all yours. Just maintain it. You're all set. Like, I've done all the bullshit. All you guys have to do is maintain it, So, for a while, I dealt with, and I know we don't talk about certain things, and we brought it up prior, but I dealt with depression for a good year. I went and, saw a psychiatrist and all this stuff to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only are you going through a divorce where, you've committed your life to somebody, you also have kids, but you're also seeing the downfall of something that you've busted your ass for every single day, hour after hour after hour, year after year, since you got out of school. Right. And now to see it, it's almost, it's like it's crumbling at your feet, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Literally nothing.
I can't
literally nothing.
Yeah. And I can't even imagine what that's like. But I mean, at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. Right. And that I know that now. Yeah.
It took a while. It took a while. I resented the industry for 2.5 years. I resented it. I literally didn't look at stickers. I didn't look at vinyl. I didn't use my computer for a whole fucking year. I didn't design nothing. And it got the best of me, man. It literally, it broke me down for a long time. Like, I literally hated everything that I did for 10 years. And my clients could see it. They'd be like, yo, what's wrong? And I wouldn't tell them because that's like personal shit you don't want to tell. But like some of my good clients, they knew. They're like, yo, something ain't right. Like, you're not looking good. Like, are you eating? Like, some of my clients would come by the shop at night knowing that I'm there, would bring me food. So random. They're like, yo, I heard the music, because I'd be playing loud music. Heard the music, saw the door open, you hope you don't mind, just want to bring you a little food, hope everything's good, blah, blah, blah. Like, they knew, and it would show. And, if I kept going that rat race down, I don't know what would have happened. And I think the best decision for me was to just walk away from that, even though it was probably the toughest. Divorce is obviously hard. You go from seeing your kids every day to seeing them every weekend and sharing all this shit and dealing with more drama. And now you got to deal with, another person if they get into a relationship, and it's like, it's all new things and foreign. So you kind of roll with the punches, all these new things happening. So it's all happening really fast, and I can't deal with it. I literally cannot deal with it. It's just, I don't know what to do. So,
yeah. But I mean, look at where you're at now. I mean, you got, I see you and your woman on Facebook, and you guys are great together.
Oh man.
And I love giving y'all shit. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. But I mean, going back to social media, everything has grown so much, and you've been out of the industry for a little while, and you don't want to deal with it anymore. And like you said, you didn't want to look at it. You resented it. So what ended up making you decide to even start a podcast? I feel like podcasts kind of like came in and kind of like took everybody by storm, because it was just kind of like one popping up right after the other out of nowhere. You just kind of start hearing it more.
Yeah.
Like, what made you like just sit there and think, holy shit, like I should start a podcast for the rap industry?
Yeah.
And not only that, but like you've come a long way since your first episode. So, for one, what made you decide to even start it? And like, I feel like it's taken you a lot of places since you started it. Like, so do you feel like it's opened up, this whole new, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a whole new direction for you?
I think, going back to your first question, more or less, like why I decided to create the podcast was probably more because I think deep down inside, years going by, and to myself, I thought it was kind of overdue, and I thought I was doing myself a disservice for a craft that I put my heart into, my soul into. I lost a lot of shit because I put more into my industry and my craft than I did to a lot of other things. So, knowing that that's behind me now, looking forward, for the future, I did odds and ends bullshit, in that time frame, and I was just never happy. And I was, talking to my beautiful fiance now, I always told her, I'm like, I know the industry so well. Why am I not? And I know I can make really great money, maybe helping somebody out or helping a business out, grow something, or help some.
Prime example. I am prime example.
You are a prime example. Mentoring. Helping people out. I think that was more like the avenue I was trying to go for, and I just.
Well, and I mean, and you kind of did. I mean, shit, dude. Like, every time I call you, it's like, hey, I got this going on. What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
And I mean, it got to that point where dude, we were on the phone, God knows how many times a week.
A lot of times a week.
Trying to figure shit out.
Yeah. FaceTiming, you showing me something like, hey, how should I attack this? Like I liked that part of helping out. And I met Justin a week before, and ironically enough, Justin is the fucking god of the industry, the trainer, the supporter, the innovator. Justin's been just a great guy to kind of meet. And ironically enough, the week before I closed my shop and turned in my keys, I actually held the Avery Dennison rap class at my shop. So,
that's fucking dope.
So it was irony at its greatest, because I'm like, oh man, like here I am meeting my mentor. Like I used to buy DVDs of this guy, like all this stuff. And 10 years later, I get to meet him, and I'm closing my doors in a week. And, and he still remembers me from back then. And he remembers that, I wanted to go a different career. I wanted to get into law enforcement. I ended up taking the class. I ended up getting on the list, and just the list around here in Massachusetts is just so long. You know, I was number 67 on a waiting list, and you could be on a waiting list for years before you ever get picked. And,
right.
You know, he remembered that. You know, when I saw him at RapsCon, he's like, "Hey, what happened to the cop thing? Like, now here you are again, man. What the fuck? Like, you came back. I mean, good that you came back, but I still remember." And you know, that's good to know that somebody I saw 3 years prior remembered that was me. And, you know, acknowledge that. Like, that felt really good, you know? Even though I was in RapsCon for something completely different, not for my own shop, but the podcast. And it felt really good. I felt like at the end of the day, I put all that time into something that I wasn't using. I wasn't being resourceful for myself. I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? I hated the rat race. And I knew if I ever got back into it, I knew what not to do, which was wear all the hats. I'd have to create a team. I'd have to create a business structure that was, that had to be implemented. And that was the only way I was going to do it. Plain and simple. I wasn't going to work like an asshole and start all over again, because that was not fun.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? You know, I used to listen to a lot of motivational podcasts, like we've talked about Andy Friselis, Ed Milet, Joe Rogan. A lot of those podcasts kind of got me through a lot of the bullshit I was dealing with, a lot of the depression side of me, of not wondering where I belong, doing something that I wasn't happy with. And they'd always talk about, you know, fuck everything else. Do what makes you happy. Do what you feel is right. Like, go after it. Don't let it mingle, because, you know, years will go by and you'll always regret that you never did anything for yourself. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can just trickle into the industry by researching if there's any podcasts for the industry. So here I am searching. I don't find one. And now we're 2019. So I started this late 2017 is when I started, right? Give or take, I think. Something like that. No, yeah, definitely late 2017. So it was like November or some shit. And I'm like, wow, there's nobody on here, you know, tapping into this platform. Everyone's on social media, everybody's on YouTube, everybody's like doing something else, and nobody's talking. Like, I remember, like, I would have time to watch videos, but I couldn't watch like a 5-minute video. Like, my time span was just too short.
You can listen.
Absolutely, I could listen. I could play it in the background. I could put it on my headphones. That's the way I listen to podcasts. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? Let me see how hard this is to make it work, and see if I can throw some money at it and see what happens. Why not? You know, what's the worst that could happen? Nobody listens. I do it for fun, and it kind of, it feeds that void that I had inside of me this whole time, talking about the industry, talking about my stories, talking about other people's stories and struggles. I mean, what was the worst that was going to happen? You know, people not like it, and it is what it is.
Which clearly people fucking like it.
I mean, it's grown to be, it's grown to be what it is now, which I would have never thought that would be what would happen. Yeah. I'm fucking super humbled and excited that it is a resource now. I never intended it to be a resource, and people dub it a resource, and it's amazing that people say it's a resource and it's good information out there, right, wrong, or indifferent. So, I'm super humbled to have people support me the way they do, like not even knowing, here we are, episode 86, and not knowing who I am, hearing snippets through the episodes of what I've done and what I've gone through, but never really heard my story. I've gone this long with nobody really knowing who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
still be able to be successful, so to say.
Yeah. And holy shit, dude, like 86.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
That's a lot. Yeah.
Bro, we're
yeah.
almost at 50,000 downloads.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Right?
I'm stoked. Like, I couldn't be any happier for you.
Oh, man.
Episode 86, you're doing good, man.
Yeah. Doing all right, I guess. Right? I don't know.
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, it's a long
run.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that I didn't expect you to get this far. How do I say it without sounding like a dick? I'm gonna sound like an asshole either way. Shit.
It was like literally sink or swim for me on this.
I'm surprised that. See, it doesn't matter how I say it. I'm gonna sound like an asshole.
It doesn't matter, dude, because we know what it is now, right?
Yeah, I know. But
don't
still,
but at the same time, I can't tell you that I didn't feel the same.
But like coming from like just a couple of episodes and just like a couple little posts on Instagram to like episode 86, and now like everybody knows who you are. If they didn't know who you were from the Rap Shop, they know you as Jeff from All Wrapped Up.
Right.
Like, you know, I felt like I already knew it was going to go somewhere. I didn't know that you would have blown up with it as quick as you did. And holy shit, dude, episode 86.
I know, dude.
Like, I feel like me and you just did ours. Like, I mean, I still remember, you know,
it was like a year ago.
Yesterday. Yeah. Like walking into my bedroom and pulling everything up and getting ready and doing, you know, our test recordings and making sure everything was good to go. Like, holy shit, dude. Holy shit.
It's come quite a long way, and it's become something more than I ever thought it would be, because selfishly, and I've said this before, selfishly, me talking to other rap shops was feeding my void that I had inside, basically. Talking to them, and then it ended up being like, hey, you know, what hard times did you have? And it became all about the story and the struggle and the journey. And I'm like,
but that's what's so great is knowing that you're not the only one who's gone through the bullshit.
Right.
Because, I mean, I'm not, you know, I didn't have it nearly as bad as you, not anywhere close as bad as you, but my shit still sucked.
Everyone has been through a different struggle, and that's the best part about it. Every struggle sucks.
Something always brings you back.
Right. Something always brings you back.
Yeah. And it was great that, you know, like you said, you know, you've been like a mentor to me. So, you know, as I was going through my shit, I mean, you knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, man,
like,
I've been there.
Every single detail. And, you know, I had that SEMA job, and the only reason that I even took it was because I needed to pay bills.
Right.
And that was it. I didn't care for SEMA. I didn't care for any of that shit. I just wanted to be done.
Right.
And I just wanted to get the job done, get paid so I can pay my bills and move the fuck on. And, you know, Joe had come down and was like, dude, are you going to SEMA? I said, no. Well, why not? You need to go. Well, because, you know, I don't have the cash right now, man. I got to pay bills. Dude, Shane's, it's this amount for the week and you stay at his house.
Right.
You need to go. All right, dude. Even same thing with Kevin. Dude, you're going to have a truck at SEMA, but you're not going to be there?
Right.
Like, come on. I said, fuck it. All right. And that's what I needed to kind of bring me back and hammer down and say, fuck, like, this is what I like doing. Why am I not doing it more?
At the end of the day, you did have a car there, and it was best that you be there and cherish that moment and that experience, because that's what it's all about, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, I don't even give a fuck about that, because I went to go see the truck once and it was way the hell in the back. Ain't nobody saw that thing. I can guarantee you.
Come on.
Nobody saw that truck. No, I swear it was in the bolt booth, and it was in between two big ass trucks. You couldn't even see the wrap, but it's fine because I wish you were there, because I got to hang out with, you know, all the guys that you see on Instagram, you know, they're just fucking killing it. And, get to talk to those people and get to hang out with them. And I'm sure it's the same with you. You get to talk to these guys, and I'm sure it was badass being able to go to RapsCon.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
And being able to see the faces and actually talk face to face with these people that, you know, you talk to, not necessarily on a daily basis, but that you kind of get to have that moment with and talk to them about their come up and how they started and where they're at now, and see them doing their thing at RapsCon and all these other places.
It was nothing what I thought it was going to be, to be honest with you, because here I am, one guy just talking on the, for the lack of better words, radio about the industry. And here I am walking around, and I'm getting pushed left and right. Like, hey, you're Jeff, you're the podcast, and people that I haven't even followed or talked to are like coming out of like everywhere, and like, oh, you're the person, and you're the this, you're the that. And honestly, I got to give props to Dan Nava and Ruggs for giving me the opportunity to go in and talk and build that relationship with everybody, because honestly, if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be right now. I mean, people would still think of me as the person on social media or watching a video of me. They wouldn't know me. So going there and actually talking and networking with other people in the industry actually gave me a little bit more of a validation for the industry. And it was just, man, I had a cool story, man. It's just two cool stories, which one was with Jacob from Lucid Raps, man. Like, when he came up with me, him and his girl came up to me. They're like, man, I listened to your podcast, and it's so great to hear the stories, dude, and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, man, let me take a picture with you. I'm like, what? Take a picture with me? Like, that's weird. Like, that was the first picture I took while I was there. And I was just like,
now.
Dude, it felt so weird. And I didn't want to feel like that, but it felt like that. I was like, well, let me take a picture. Let me take a picture. It's like, yo, man, I just sit behind a mic. That's all. Like, nothing fancy, you know? And
yeah.
He was super cool to like meet me. And then we got to talk in the Ferrari for a little while. And then we ended up doing our episode, a few weeks later after RapsCon. But man, I remember I was talking to somebody. I think I was talking to Carl Brewer, actually. And I was just talking to him, and the guy behind me was just listening to the talk. And obviously my Boston accent's pretty thick, and I literally turned around to walk the other way, and the guy goes, "Excuse me, I know your voice." And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I know your voice from somewhere. Like, you got a rap podcast? I go, actually, I do. And he's like, yeah, you're Jeff, right? And I'm like, I am. He's like, I could tell from that Boston accent. And I was like, holy badass. Shit. It was like a guy, I don't even remember where he was from, but man, it was so cool to just turn around. Just by listening to my voice, he didn't even have to see me. He knew who exactly I was. And I was like mind blown. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Just the power of your voice, like, resonates with everybody, and they remember that, man. It's like mind blowing. Like, now it's like I'm a radio personality, so to say. You know what I mean? So, not what I expected.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm really happy. I'm really glad that you're at where you're at now. And I'm really stoked that we got to do this episode, because I know that I was giving Chucky a lot of shit on who was going to host this episode.
Yeah.
And I just want to let him know, because I know he's going to listen at some point.
Oh, shit. He's going to be mad.
I'm the one doing it. It's me.
Yeah.
He gave me shit at SEMA, because I didn't get to do the recap. He's like, oh, you got to be a full-timer to do the recap. Yeah, well, you know what? I got to host the 86th episode, so, I'm really stoked that we got to do this, because, like I said, when and I mentioned it multiple times already, this was really cool because, you know, when you had first approached me, I didn't know who you were, so I think this is really going to help. You know, I know you get a lot of new listeners who are also kind of getting into the industry.
Right.
There's a lot of guys who are just kind of going straight into the rapping. There's a lot of guys who kind of start out with little stuff and little stickers here and there. So I think it's really going to be cool for them to listen and hear, like, you know, you've been in it too. You know, you're not just some dude who started a podcast. You started from the bottom and you found it something that you enjoyed doing, and you started the same way, doing, you know, little stickers and masking and stuff like that and screens. And, you know, you went through the uprising of your own shop. You went through the bullshit, and now, you know, you're coming back up again. And I think that's really cool for a lot of people to understand, especially for, you know, those of us who have gone through the bad times or are currently in it, for them to hear, like, you know, you're not the only one, and there's a bunch of good that's going to come out of it.
Well, I think the people need to understand, rap industry aside, anything business related or whatnot, you're always going to have ups and downs, no matter what. I just feel like you know, or you feel like you're in that upstream, you know, but anything at any moment can just knock you down a pedestal. And just, if there's any like words of advice that I could give anybody in the industry, is that nothing's ever certain. Everything changes daily. You get knocked down, it's all about how you get back up. I know it's cliche. Exactly. I know it's fucking super cliche, but it's all about how you dust yourself off, you learn from your experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, and you move on. It's always better to push through than to just stay where you are and give up, because you're always going to have that regret or that doubt of, oh, what would have happened if I just pushed through? Because you and I have had this conversation multiple times, bro. Like, how many times I tell you?
Gonna let the shit, you're gonna let the shit get you down,
right?
And you ain't gonna go nowhere, and you're gonna stay exactly where you're at,
right?
Or you put your head down and you fucking dig deep and you pull yourself out of it,
right? And nobody's gonna ever do it for you either.
No,
you need to understand that shit's just not gonna fall on your lap. You need to make shit happen.
People can be by your side and try and bring you up, but they can only do it for so long.
Right. And they're not going to, you know, handhold you through the whole process. You need to, you need to take that. You need to take that and just roll with it. You know, it's just, you know, I've been at my lowest. I've been at my highest, and I've been lower than my lowest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've been bare bottom of the barrel, I've been at the top of the barrel, and I've fucking been underneath the barrel. You know what I mean? And I'm just starting to get back into the groove. But it's
good to hit rock bottom. It's good to hit rock bottom, though, because what are you going to be afraid of
after
that? There's nothing to be afraid of after that.
Right.
You can't be. You've already hit rock bottom. You can't go any lower than that.
Yeah. You've already walked away from everything. So you fucking rip the Band-Aid off and you fucking move on. Let the scab, you know, heal itself over. You have battle wounds. Everybody has battle wounds, no matter what. It's just fucking just remember, when you look down at them, you don't want to make that same decision. You don't want to make that same regret. You don't want to make that same bad choice. You have to remember those things in order to propel you forward. And, you know, I just, no matter what you do, whether you're working out of your house and you're getting started, just have an end goal to where you want to be, or have a goal to where you want to be. I mean, like I said before, like I worked from home for 2 years. This is why I don't really mind when we talk about people like growing the industry. Like we tend to forget, we bash those guys that are trying to make a living or, you know, being a little bit cheaper. Like I get it. I understand. But at the same time, I was fucking there. So I can't be a hypocrite about that, because sometimes where I would charge, you know, $500 for 2 doors and a tailgate, you know, I'd have to maybe suffer and do $375 for that particular job, because if not, he was going to walk. And you know what? I'd rather him not walk and me make a little bit and be able to put food on the table than to fucking lose it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been there, dude. Macaroni and cheese, fucking weeks at a time. You know, cereal at night. Like I've fucking been there, bro. Like,
the moral of the story is keep fucking pushing, and who knows, you might just be the host of the #1 rap industry podcast.
Who knows? Who knows? It could be you, man. And
it
you know what?
Be.
At the end of the day,
you know what? You might win a contest on Instagram. You never know.
You won't let that shit go down, bro. You don't let that shit go down.
I busted my ass.
Yeah,
I just like giving you shit. I just like giving you shit for it.
I can take it. I can take it. Remember, I've been down the bottom, man. I can take anything now. Now.
It's been fun, man. It's been a pleasure, and I'm really, really grateful to not only to be part of one of your episodes, to be on the other side of where I'm at now, to have you as a friend and a mentor, and obviously to host an episode. It's been a fun ride. And,
for sure, dude.
I'm really, really excited to see what happens from here.
Yeah, me too, man. I think, I don't, and again, even, going back to trying to have a plan for certain things in your life and whatnot, I'm just going week by week, episode by episode, man.
Sometimes you just got to go with the flow. That's all you can do.
That's it, bro. See how that shit all comes full circle?
Mm-hmm.
Go with the flow, man. Go
with the design flow.
The design flow, bro.
Too soon?
Too soon. It's still, bro. I still got a sweatshirt with my old logo on it.
I feel like an asshole again.
Nah, man. I still got an old sweatshirt. I used to wear the shit out of the sweatshirt, and it's got my old logo embroidered. That was one shirt I couldn't get rid of. I threw away all my other shirts, but this sweatshirt I kept, and it's kind of sentimental because it's a reminder of where I came from and what I built, and it's just a reminder of kind of moving forward. Like, okay, that was a part of my life. It isn't a part of my life now, and I'm grateful for the things that I did for that, because now it's brought me to another stepping stone that I'm able to provide knowledge and help towards another shop. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd be doing in my life. And it could have been the podcast, and only the podcast. It could have just been this.
You never know.
Could have been. Yeah. But it's
like I said, man, everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason why you're at where you're at and doing what you're doing now.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure. And I love it.
It's been fun. It's been fun, Brosy. I appreciate everything.
Oh, dude.
Get me all teary-eyed and emotional. All of my feels.
You puss. Oh. Stop, you puss. Stop. If anybody was going to cry, it was going to be me. It's my show.
I heard it. I could hear a little crackle in your voice. Like, no, Jeff. No, don't do it. Be strong.
You know what? It's been, trying to find the right timing to do this, and, figuring out what to talk about. It's kind of, it's really, and we talked prior how nervous I was. I mean, shit, I can't imagine my guests. I'm like, shit. I'm going to be the nervous one now that has to answer the questions. So I get to know, get to feel what you feel like.
Now you know.
But it's kind of cool. Better late than never, dude.
Yeah. It's kind of weird being on this side. I'm not going to lie.
Right?
Cause it's like, do I try and like throw something in right here? Do I try and,
it's hard.
Do I let you keep talking, or do I stop you and say something?
Isn't it hard? It's hard, right?
Yeah. So I don't know how you do it. But I mean, you do this a lot more often than I do.
85 episodes. 85 episodes.
Yeah. You know what? I got one episode under my belt, so there's that.
That's it, bro.
That's it. That's all I need.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to interview me. And all that good
I appreciate
stuff.
you letting me interview you.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me be your second pick.
Your second pick. You my plan B?
Thank you for letting me be Plan B.
Oh man, there's a little backstory to it with Chuck. I was gonna try to have Chuck do it.
There's no backstory. Chuck was supposed to do it. He couldn't do it, so I'm here.
Yeah. Chuck's real busy right now, so it's
I'm
all
not busy,
good.
folks. So it's just I'm not busy, so it's me doing it. Thanks, Jeff.
Dude, I love you, man.
I love you too.
We haven't met each other quite yet, but it's
so funny because I feel like we've met.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
It's only been a year.
I know, dude. I feel like I know you so well. We've been through some pretty crazy struggles, and I've helped you out of a couple jams, and you've helped me out of a couple jams myself. So, I just feel like you're just an extended part of the family, and like you said, I feel like I've met you before. It's just natural. It's nice, and even prior, bro. Like there's so many people that will just hit me up on a text. Hey, what's going on? Even prior to us coming on the show, I haven't talked to Moody in a long time, and he hit me up on a text. Hey, how's everything going? And it feels good that like other people in the industry.
I'm recording an episode right now.
Yeah. It's like, but it's so random that people will just hit me up and just be like, "Yo, what's going on? I haven't talked to you in a while." And it feels good that people like check in and say hi and ask questions if they're in a jam. Because I always tell everybody, "Yo, you in a jam? I might get you out of it. I might not, but it's worth just giving me a quick text." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Who knows?
Definitely.
So it's good. It's I'm glad that you and I have kept in communication, and I've been able to kind of help you out a couple of ways. Yeah,
definitely. But all right, Brosy. Well, we're gonna have to get going here.
You're gonna take us out. You're gonna take us out with the normal outro here.
What's the outro?
Oh, you don't know the outro, bro? This is why you were Plan B, bro.
Not Bahar.
This is why you were Plan B.
Well, you texted me the intro. I was
the intro you got, but the outros are usually the same, man. Come on, you got this. You got this.
Okay. Let me grab this. Hang on.
Come on, you got it. How do I usually end the show, bro? How do I usually end the show? Come on, you got this.
I don't know. Is this the same as the intro?
No, it's not the same as the intro.
You just told me it was the same as the intro.
No, bro. What happens when I'm done talking to the guest? What do I usually end it with? God,
I don't know.
Damn, bro. All right, you're fired. You're fired.
You know what? We're redoing the episode with Chucky.
Yeah, we're redoing it. We're scrapping the whole thing. 2 hours to shit. Fuck it. It's gone. No, man.
We don't know. You guys tell me.
We end the show by asking the guest, how do we get in contact with you? Social media, website, all that stuff. Now I'm gonna pretend like I didn't say that, and now you're gonna ask. You're gonna ask me.
Now that we're coming to a close, how can we find you? Do you have a website, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat?
I have
premium
it all.
Snapchat.
A ghost Snapchat, all that. Oh man, yeah. So I obviously, everyone that's following me, Instagram, All Wrapped Up Podcast, Twitter, All Wrapped Up Podcast, Facebook, All Wrapped Up Podcast. A lot of you guys have found me on my personal page and requested me, Jeff Gregorio on Facebook. Also too, man, I need to give a good shout out to Rap Solutions. They've given me the opportunity to get back into the industry and really help them out in more ways than one, but also they've helped me out in significantly and given me the opportunity to work with such a great team, man. It's just amazing. If anyone's listening, please go out and follow Rap Solutions on Instagram, Rap Solutions on Facebook. I've tagged them a few times in some of my posts. You can find them in that way. Hit me up. Like I'm working back in it. You know, you're going to see some videos of me on the stories that we post quite a few times a week on Wrap Solutions. Look up the website, wrapsolutions.net. Check them out. Doing some great stuff there. So shout out to Keith and Jill. Well, I'm going to do a big shout out to the team. Keith, Jill.
Go for it.
Keith, Jill, Emily, Chris, Aldo, Avery, Sean, Angelica. Who else am I missing? We got a lot of people, man. We got a lot of people. Who else am I missing? I think that's it. And all the installers we got too. But shout out to them, man. It's just, I'm super humbled to be a part of the team. Grateful to be a part of the team, and shout out to Keith for giving me the opportunity. Just walking into his shop and asking if there's a position, and you know, more or less getting hired on the spot, which is crazy. But I'm super grateful for the Wrap Solutions team and family, man. It's just amazing to be part of something so great, and it's just gonna get better from here, man. Just gonna get better from here.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Well, all right, Rosie.
Well, again, dude, I appreciate you, doing this for me, man. I just
appreciate you, buddy.
This has been
really
great to sit and chat. I feel like it's just a normal conversation we usually have. So yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be good. I'm excited for it to air.
I thought we already ended. We're good.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Let me stop it. What's up, folks? Hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Thank you to everyone that tuned in, and thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to IBOW Training, offering a variety of training options such as training at your shop, group training classes nationwide, and even private design print profile training through remote login. Learn more about IBOW at ibowtraining.com. Thank you also to We Print Wraps, the industry's #1 source for wholesale printed wraps, offering free nationwide shipping across the U.S. and Canada on all orders over $500. And don't forget, exclusive listeners of this podcast save 5% on your next order when you use promo code ALLWRAPPEDUP at checkout. See why industry pros love them and visit WePrintWraps.com. Till next time, folks, that's a wrap.